up and welcome back to the channel. Yes, back, because by now you should be subscribed to the channel, and if not, go ahead and hit that red button. I know you can see it if you are not on full screen, so yes, go ahead and hit subscribe. I am Ari Renee for those who do not know, and today's topic is going to be about my little book collection. I absolutely love reading. In the last year, I've probably taken even a more liking to reading books, and therefore I have accumulated many books. Today's video is going to be like in 3 different sections. So I have my spiritual books, which I will get to second. I have my kind of lifestyle kind of books over here, and then I also have a digital book collection as well. At the end of the video, I will show you guys my book tracker, so stay tuned for that. So let's go ahead and get into my book collection. All my physical books are labeled in alphabetical order, and I will probably do a close-up shot of that in a minute, but I'm not going to tell you about each book. I'm just going to simply go over the title with the book and tell you if I have read it or not, and then I might give it a star system of like how good the book was, if that makes sense. So let me start with the first book. Starting with B is Breaking the Good Girl Myth. This is by Majo Mofino. I don't know. I'm going to try to pronounce the author's titles as much as possible. A lot of my books that I have picked up physically, I have seen it in a podcast, on YouTube, or either on TikTok, or I've just done a lot of research and found it. I have not read this book yet. This is on one of my next top 3 books after I get done reading some of the books that I have already started. Next is The Broke Millennial Talks Money. We probably all have seen this. This is by Erin Lowry. To be honest, this is just basically a bunch of stories in the book. Like, she gives some situation and advice, but all in all, I have read this book. It was okay. I would probably give it about 2.5 to 3 stars. Cleopatra is my newest book, actually, along with one more newer book. Cleopatra, I'm probably not going to end up reading. I think this is just literally going to be a shelf book, and that's just because I really like the black with the gold, and the book wasn't that expensive at all, and plus this is a used book on top of that. It is not a brand new book, so this is probably going to be a shelf book. Get Good with Money is also on my next top 3 books to read. It is by Tiffany Alice, the Budgetnista, which I follow on, she has a Facebook group that I am in. So I found this and it got a bunch of good reviews on Amazon. I have not read it yet. I am interested to read it because I know her Facebook group and her little, not class, but she has this program that's really good, and I've already tried it. So I'm hoping that this would be really good as well. Have not read that one. My next book is called Girl Wash Your Face. I read this a very long time ago, and I'm ashamed to admit that I don't remember this book. It has been sitting on my shelf for a while, and I know I fully read this book 100 times, 100%. But I think I got this book when I was just trying to figure out how to become myself or how to become rich. I think I was in one of those phases. This book is quite old. I did pick this up from, I think, Barnes & Noble when I was still going there to pick up books. But since I don't remember, I can't give you an exact rating on it, but it's still in my collection and I haven't given it away, so I'm guessing it's somewhat good. Moving on is called Incredible Wild Edibles. This book is amazing. So if you guys have not kept up with the channel and this is your first time here, you guys know I want to get into a little bit of foraging, maybe even a little bit of homestead. But I know different plants and stuff can grow, and I would like to know what plants I could grow. And even if survival mode had to kick in at some point in time, I have this book. I have went through this book 100%, but this book is more of a guide, so you don't have to read it in order. They do have a good, context in the beginning, but this book I would probably most definitely give a 5 stars. So this is just more so worrying about your diet. It gives you several different plants and then the different variations of this plant. So if you are trying to get into foraging or even homestead life, I would definitely try to pick up this book. Along with that whole homestead and foraging, I do have Off-Grid Living. This is probably also a newer book that I picked up from Amazon. I have not got a chance to read this book yet. It is very thin, so I'm pretty sure it will not take me long to read. But as I'm going through the rest of my October, which I'm taking a sabbatical off from work, and I will upload that video up here, I talked about diving deep into homestead, and I'm kind of in that like session now where I'm doing a lot of research, a lot of YouTube, a lot of reading just on off living or homestead life or even van life. So I will be reading this soon as well. This one, it's actually too bright, but it is called On Edge, A Journey Through Anxiety. It's by Andrea Peterson. I picked this up one day when I was just kind of down, and I went to Goodwill and I just basically looked through their books, because their books are no more than like $2.50. And at the time I was really going through like dealing with anxiety when I picked up this book, and when I saw that at Goodwill I was like, I have to pick it up. Have not read it. I haven't been having a lot of anxiety problems now that I have really dug deep into like meditation and breathing and yoga and things like that, and finding positivity in each day. I haven't really had that much anxiety, so this might just become a little shelf book, and it's called On Edge. My next book is just a fun little book that I picked up. I got this from Dollar Tree actually for $1. If you guys know the famous YouTubers, which most people do, Rhett and Link, they do a bunch of stuff on their channels such as eating challenges and little games like that. They are fun to watch, funny to watch. I love them a lot. And when I saw this book in Dollar Tree the same day I actually picked up that book from Goodwill, I was like, there's no way this is $1. I don't know what year this came out, and I'm probably actually not going to read this book. Another thing, it's just probably another like shelf book or a tabletop book here. But very cute. Love these guys. Probably my top favorite YouTubers of all time right now. Another little fun book, I did read through this already, is Summer Cocktails Made Simple. I would definitely, this book was also from Dollar Tree, so I would definitely give this book a 5. It's so simple to make some of this stuff. A lot of the ingredients, it does not take a lot of ingredients to make these. And this is by, who is this by? Tommy Marshall, who has worked in plenty of restaurants over the years, and he loves making food for his family and friends. So if you are a drinker or you just like something sweet at the end of the day, I recommend this book. My next book is one of the older books in my collection. It is called The Love Playbook by Lala Anthony. And a lot of people do not know this, but Lala Anthony is probably one of my favorite celebrities. And I don't tend to look at several celebrities as anything special, but Lala Anthony, I just love. I love the way she carries herself and handles her business. Like I said, this is one of my oldest books in my collection. So I have had this book for a while, and I have read this book. She does give a lot of tips in there in this book. So if you're wanting to read something, a little love, a little biography or autobiography, I would recommend picking up this book as well. I would give this one probably like 4 stars at most. The last book on this side of my collection is going to be A Whole New You by Tia Mowry. She is one of the twins from our favorite shows that we used to watch. And also, since it is October, Twitches. I don't know if you guys seen all the Twitches yet for October, but if you haven't, what are you doing? It's October 15th. Get it together. But this is simply just a cookbook. I have gone through this book 100% already too. The food and the pictures in this book look so incredible, and just the way she has everything rented out, it's just like a regular cookbook. But I would definitely give this a 5 star. It's by a black woman. Go check it out. Alright, so I moved my location. I am having such a hard time recording this video for some reason. So I am just going to look at the books that I wrote down, do like a little overlay of each book, and call it a day, like a little close-up, because I'm struggling. But none of my footage saved from my spiritual side. So let's go back through my spiritual books on that side. I have African Goddess Initiation. So I have not read that book yet. I picked that book up at the same time that I got the Cleopatra book, and I am excited to read that book just because I read another book related to it, and that book was amazing. Next up is a Witch's Bible. Now that book I didn't read entirely. It is a lot of information though. It is catered to baby witches. I think more so towards the Wicca side. But if you guys have been following my channel thus far, you guys know I have been leaning more towards the African spiritual side. So I did not read that book. I might try to continue to read that book, but if you're new to this and you really want to get into it, A Witch's Bible is probably one of the first books that I would try to pick up. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, that is probably one of the worst books on my shelf. I don't even think I got through 25% of that book. Between the writing style, the long-winded sentences, and just some of the things are worded, it just felt unnecessary. The whole writing style felt so unnecessary, and I found myself just unable to really read it. So I did not read that book, and therefore I won't even give it a 1 star just because I couldn't make it through it. My next book I have a love and a hate relationship for. It's called Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark. So that book is amazing as far as information goes. If you are trying to work out inner trauma or childhood trauma, working on your inner self or your child, anything like that, or just trying to learn a little bit of psychology about why you do things or why you hate certain things, that book is a must-have. Now, the reasons why I do not like that book, which is just really one reason, was once again the writing style. But the information was so good, I was able to push through that book. So that book I will give a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Daily Rituals is a good book as well. It's not a book that you read from beginning to end. It's a book where you pick out certain pages and it gives you exercise and journal prompts to do. This book is also great for working on yourself, your higher self, affirmations, finding positivity in each day. So if you need like a little pick-me-up from that, that is a good book. And it's so nice and small and compact, you can practically bring it anywhere. And that one, I'm not going to really rate that one since you have to go and get exercises and journal prompts. I'll just leave it at that. It is a good book to pick up. Integrating My Shadow is another book that I'm not going to really rate because it's another book you do not read from beginning to end. I believe you can do the journal prompts from beginning to end, but what I do, and you guys have seen this in my vlog along with the Daily Rituals book, I pick out a page with my fingers kind of, or I just open the book and then I do whatever that prompt is. Integrating My Shadow, I picked up that book right after I picked up Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark because those two kind of seemed like it went hand in hand for me. So I read one book, did some of the exercises in that book, and then I started on the journal prompts for Integrating My Shadow. So both of those books, if you want to do some child work or inner child work or shadow work, I would definitely check out both of those books at the same time. I also have a book just on meditation, just like one of the books on Edge on that side. I also picked that book up from Goodwill just one day walking around. I have skimmed through that book, but I think that is just another book that's just going to be like the core piece, more of a shelf book because I do my own meditations. I might pick it up and read because it's another like itty bitty book that's not going to take long to read or take that much time. I feel like that's another book though you don't have to read from beginning to end. I think it just mainly has like quotes in there. I would have to open it and see again. I picked it up for decor though. Numerology, I believe right now, is one of my favorite things to learn about. I'm probably about 30 to 40% through that book, but with that book, it's more like a teaching book or a school book in a way. You go through, you do so many different exercises and things like that, but it also gives you like definitions of everything and how to figure everything out. So if you're into like astrology, you would also be into numerology. Numerology can tell you deeper about your life paths, your successes, and all things like that, which I've talked about already before, but I absolutely love that book. It's definitely off the charts, way past what, 5 stars. So if you're into astrology, pick up a numerology book and I will show you what that looks like as well. It is definitely one of my favorite books on the shelf right now. My next book is Orishas, Goddesses, and Voodoo Queen. This is a African spirituality book. It is the first book I picked up when I was leaning towards the path of African spirituality. It is a very beginner book. It talks about some of the different Orishas, and it doesn't talk about any of the European deities for real, but it does talk about a little bit of Latina. I don't think they're called Orishas. I can't remember what exactly they're called, but it is a good reference book as well. She gives some very good references in the back of the book as well, things to look up, other books to purchase, and things like that. That's why I'm so excited to read the African Goddess Initiation. But that book, to me, is also a 5-star. I have read that book 100% through, and it didn't take me long to read that book either. I think it took me about 2 weeks, which that's on average for me. I was still working at the time, so it took me about 2 weeks. Psychic Witch is another book that's more on learning base and taking your time to do exercises. So I have started this book, and I have not finished it yet, mainly because you'll read a little bit and then they'll have you do an exercise. But I don't necessarily want to read all of that and do those exercises back to back to back to back. So I'll read a part, do the exercise, then I'll read the next part, maybe do the exercise in the morning or the next day, and then that's how I do it. With this book, I'm probably only about 25% just because I am reading my numerology book as well, and I'm reading another book as well, which I'll get to in a second. As far as the Psychic Witch, I can't really give a rating because, like I said, I'm only 25% into that book. So far, the very first exercise in that book, I have been using every time that I meditate, and it is wonderful. So if I could rate it just off of that exercise, I'll probably give it about a 3, 3.5. The Green Witch, I just picked up as well. It is also one of my books that I plan to read next. I really saw good reviews about that book, and I wanted to get into herbs just like I want to get into homestead. And I read that the Green Witch was perfect for that because it lines up with that spirituality and also learning about herbology. I don't know what it's called, but learning about herbs. The Modern Witch Guide is also a new book that I have picked up. I've skimmed through the book, and it is literally a guide. So it's another book where you don't have to read it from beginning to end. I also cannot rate it because I have not read all the pages. I have just skimmed through it. Moving on to probably my second or third favorite book right now on my shelf is the only astrology book you will ever need. It is wonderful if you know about I think it's called Natal chart, where you have to figure out your date of birth, the time you were born, and the city you were born, and it gives you your moon, rising, sun. It gives you your houses, your 12 houses, and it even gives you each planet as well that a sign may fall in. This book is really good if you want to go very, very deep into astrology. Like, it is literally the only astrology book you'll ever need. I'm about 65% through that book, and that book is already a 5-star. With that book, it does give you a lot of lessons, and it gives you like what sign means in each like house or planet or thing. So the book is very, very large, but it gives you information on all the signs. So if you want to dive deep into astrology, pick up that book. The spell book for new witches, I have also read 100% of the time. I don't know why I didn't mark that down on my bookshelf reading list here. But I have also read that 100% of the time. It literally goes through and it has different categories. And then it tells you like different spells, what you would need for it, how to make it happen and things like that. I think the only spell I have taken from that book so far, because I don't really practice actually doing spells, I don't think. Maybe we do because our words is basically our magic. So anyways, but what was I saying? But with that book, yeah, I've only practiced one like real spell out of there, and that was just like a little protection spell that I made from crystal necklace for me and my friends, because at one point in time, I really felt like there was this darkness over us, which there was. Like, there was a lot of things happening at that point. At that point, it's still a lot of things happening. But with that being said, that book is really good. So if you want like quick spells, easy spells, you just want to look at them and you're new, check out that book. I would probably give that book maybe 4 stars. Like I said, I haven't used a lot of things in that book. Maybe you will find more use to it. It's not a bad book at all. It's very good to look at, to see the different herbs and materials you would need, such as like black candles, white candles, bags, and things like that. My last one is a book that I just picked up. It is the unofficial Harry Potter spell book. I got that from Five Below. It was such a great find. It was the last book up there for one. That one is just another like decoration book on that side. I left it on that side and not on the other side because it is a spell book. So I just kept it up there. Some of the spells, because I've skimmed through the book, look like actual spells. But if you're into Harry Potter like I am, I love Harry Potter, and I think it's also a good October movie to watch. If you can find it, which I'm pretty sure you might be able to on Amazon, I would suggest going to pick it up. That concludes my spiritual books on that side. For my last category, I am going to get into the digital books. I only have 6 digital books, and I have read 3 of them all the way through, 1 halfway through, and 2 not at all. These are more self-help books that I was in a group and they gave me these books for free while I was in the group, so I did earn these books, but they're digital books. The first one is more spiritual. That is The Secret. The Secret is what turned me basically into all of this. This started pretty much this whole, well, one of the books that's helped me start the spirituality journey and move and all of that. The Secret is probably one of the most talked about books when you do a spiritual journey. Once you start finding gurus and things like that, they will all talk about The Secret. The Secret also has a TV show or movie on Netflix that I suggest all you guys watch. I personally like the book better than the actual movie, but either way, pick one. Read about it, or watch it. Just go look at The Secret. Just do it. That book is obviously a top 5 and 5 stars for me. I also have Crushing It by Gary Vee. I used to watch him heavily on Instagram, of course, a lot with most of us did. I have not read the book yet though. I did go through a phase where I was looking at a lot of self-help books at the same time, just reading them back to back to back. And I think when it came down to Crushing It, I was just kind of burnt out on the whole self-help thing and I wanted to try something different. These books I did get prior to actually getting into like deep into my spiritual journey, so I can't rate that one just yet. The Complete Guide to Making Money is by Dave Ramsey, and I personally love Dave Ramsey. I have his 2022 planner, which I will be making a video about that soon, and I am also part of his little growth academy where it helps you with the baby steps and your budget, and he gives you like different little workshops and things like that. So I personally love Dave Ramsey. This book was good for little tips and tricks. I have read it 100% through. I would probably give it a 3 out of 5 because a lot of them were just stories of other people and basically how they went on with life and things like that. Our famous Rich Dad Poor Dad. I can't read through it. Once again, one of those books that just do not keep my attention. Your famous successful people or want to be successful people or whoever, read Rich Dad Poor Dad along with what is the other one? A lot of people really like that book along with The Richest Man in Babylon, which I also find it quite hard for me to read. Don't ask me why. I know the stories in there are really good. Like, I think we all read the story about the guy who had so much gold in the village and the king was upset about it. But yeah, those books are probably pretty powerful in our lifetime. I just find myself having a hard time to read through them. The Millionaire Morning, I did start. I never finished. It just talked about like successful habits that people do for a 6 a.m. morning routine or a 7 a.m. morning routine or maybe a 5 a.m. morning routine. I don't know. Some early morning routine. That's what that book is dedicated to. I did not read that book all the way through. It does have good information though if you're trying to be that it person or the whole challenges that we have going on right now, that it girl. But if you're into that and want to establish a really good morning routine, check that book out. My last book that I'm going to mention is Atomic Habits. I did read that book as well. I love books about habits other than breaking habits of yourself. That book was also good. It really just helps you form habits, basically what it means. So once again, check out that book if you just need a little bit of self-help. So that is the last book that I'm going to mention in this video. I am now going to show you my book tracker. I use an app called Zennia, which is all in my iPad. It is a paid app. I think it's about $40 per year. Now, as you can see, all of my books are here. I have little different notebooks for each thing that I want to keep up with digitally in here. So the first one is my books here. And I don't have that many pages yet. I just have the current books that I absolutely want to read, and you can see that I have my front page which just says I love books with a little cat sitting on top of a book with a hot mug that probably has tea in it, and then I have my online library down here and a little plant and my glasses. So moving on to this actual first page, as you can see, these are my spiritual books. I have where I am with each book, and I have the stars that I rate them for each book as well. And I do that for each one of them. So this one is my non-spiritual book. And as you can see there, I have the same thing, which ones I have read all the way through, and the stars for each one of them. And then the last one is going to be my digital book. And these are the ones that I've read or I plan on reading. And same thing with that, I did a rating system. So, with that being said, let me know if there are any books that you would like to try. If there are any books you would like me to go more into detail about, I can absolutely do that as well. Let me know if you have any book suggestions for me at all, especially dealing with more so African spirituality, or even more so dealing with self-help or meditation or manifestation. I'm down for all of that. Like I said, I love to read, and I plan to be here for a long time, so you can never have too many books. So, with that being said, I am going to go ahead and get off of here. Of course, we got to be safe out here in this crazy little world that we live in, with all the greed and all the money that we have to live through to even make it through this life. But be safe, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.